This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome in to another edition, the first edition for the 2025 NFL Draft season. The Draft Room Podcast right here on MVP Sports. My name is Ricky Widmer. Like I've already said, I am joined with my partner, my Robin, my Bucky Barnes to my Captain America. Some could say I'm Batman, you're Superman. However you want to look at it, JD, the Don of MVP. How we doing? We ready to start another draft season, boyo?
Yeah, man. It's been, I've been itching for this one. I was messaging you. I'm like, Ricky, we're doing the draft room this week? And you're like, yep.
We are back. College football's back too. We just had week 1. Week 2. I got a question for you right off the rip. Vandy, for real or not for real?
No, I don't think they're for real. When
they get mad hops. They get mad respect for beating Virginia Tech last week.
Sure. That's just the ACC for you, buddy.
It's not like my Virginia Tech team in our connected dynasty with my playbook that beat the piss out of your SMU Mustangs. Right? Yeah. Right, JD?
Yeah.
If everything bodes well, though, I beat the piss out of Jake too, and then he's never let me win since.
Yeah, well, I mean, we may never get that rematch at this rate.
Hey, Jake's living in 2K right now. I was thinking about it today. Let him go through. Jake, I'm going to let you go through. Once he gets tired and mad of 2K, we'll be back. I got my Wyoming dynasty for right now.
You seemed pretty mad at it yesterday.
He seemed pretty bored with that domination yesterday.
I've been stuck on this bye week for like a real life week.
Because me and him have to play.
Yeah. Every time I log on, it'll be like, "Oh, you got so-and-so to commit to you." I'm like, "Okay, sweet."
Yeah.
Oh, no, still hasn't advanced.
We'll get there, JD. Don't worry. But we got a jam-packed show for you guys talking about some prospects that we like. That JD, both him and I like. And before we get into such, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Whether you want to support us on our Patreon, whether you want to join the greatest community in the universe, the Discord, follow us on all of our socials. Check the description down below. The Discord is really the place to be. We're going to be using the Discord a lot more for announcements, notifications. If you want to stay in-tapped and kind of have your finger on that pulse for what's going on in MVP, you want to join the Discord. That link is in the description. Also, anything we talk about today, feel free to comment. We want to hear from you. This is a dialogue, a discussion. Hit us up in the comments down below. And if you love the podcast, like the podcast, give us a like and subscribe for more MVP sports and or MVP entertainment content. So, JD, the first thing we're going to talk about is I've got a litany of prospects that we're going to talk about, kind of guys we're excited for, different conversations that we want to have before the year kicks off. NFL starts this weekend. College has already started. They're going to have the first official, like, week 2. We had week 0. We had week 1. Now it's on to week 2. I'm going to actually throw this first one to you because this was a guy that you wanted to talk about from We Come in the Colorado Buffaloes. We're going to start off talking about Travis Hunter, and I'm just going to kick it to you. What kind of conversation do you want to have around Travy Trav?
Well, I'm going to start it off by saying in week 1, he had 132 receiving yards on 7 receptions and 3 touchdowns. So already off to a very hot start at wide receiver. But then on defense, he had 3 tackles, solo tackles, no interceptions, no pass deflections, but played a pretty solid game if you were watching him. And basically, I want to start this by saying, well, I don't think it's a question if he's a top 5 pick in this year's draft. I think well, I think it's a for sure thing that he is going to be. But for whatever team that drafts him, are they going to draft him as a wide receiver or a cornerback? Or do we have the first ever, or maybe not first ever, but the first player in a long time to be playing two positions in the NFL?
What, the guy that comes to my mind, and yet again, this is college also, but Lee Corso. I learned this week that Lee Corso played defense. He also played quarterback, wide receiver, and running back on offense at Florida State. And he's tied in the school records with Deion Sanders with like 14 interceptions in a season. So, like, but in the NFL, you might be able to help me. I can't remember the last time we've seen a guy play two ways.
Yeah, I feel like
Like
I'm
the
talking
fr-
about I'm
the
talking about I'm talking
fridge,
about
but
I'm
he
talking
didn't play
about real
consistently.
that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about real two ways because I know
Mhm.
you're gonna have some shitlords in the comments. Well, JJ Watt played fullback, actually. He scored touchdowns. Yeah, no, that doesn't count. We're talking about an actual guy that plays pretty much. Well, I think on average, Travis Hunter plays something like 97% of total snaps a
Mhm.
game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I thought maybe Charles Woodson, but I don't think he played any offense. Yeah, so I think he might be like the first actual dual position or I don't know how you want to phrase that, but like
Play both ways.
yeah, two-way player
Yep.
in the NFL.
I'm looking right here, and NFL.com has like NFL's top two-way players, and they have players like Adoree Jackson. They do mention J.J. Watt, like you said. Devin Hester, but like Hester, he was just a returner. Like he wasn't a great cornerback. He wasn't a great wide receiver. Mike Vrabel, but he was more of a defensive guy that they brought in for like tight end sets sometimes.
Yeah.
Patrick Peterson. They have Don Terry Poe on this list. Julian Edelman, Cordell Stewart, Troy Brown, Randy Moss. Randy Moss played defense.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like I think this
He
must be
played
like
defense?
maybe like they're probably including like you know how
The gimmick
if
plays.
like for Hail Marys, like they would
Yeah,
put
the
like
tallest
wide
guy.
receivers in the
Yeah.
on the defense.
Yeah.
Because so I'm just gonna say Travis Hunter is good, like could be the first real two-way player. But I again we know NFL scouts and GMs. I feel like most teams
Are
would
they going to
lean
let
just
him?
yeah, I think they're gonna lean mostly to wide receiver because obviously he can gain weight. I mean, he's only what like 17 years old, or no, sorry, he's like only like 20 or 21.
Yeah.
So he weighs 185 pounds, or that's what he's listed at least on ESPN. But so I think that would concern people from a defensive side of the ball, just because there's some wide receivers who weigh like 20 pounds more than him. Um, but obviously he can still gain some muscle, gain some weight, still play defense.
Now, correct me if this is like a bad idea. Could we see a team say, hey, we're going to draft you? Your primary position is going to be wide receiver on this team, but we're going to have you play some nickel corner as well if we need you out there. Like, and to me, it's like it could be that with Travis Hunter, where it's like, hey, you're mainly going to play wide receiver for us, or like vice versa. Like a team could draft you for either like, hey, this is what you're primarily going to be for us, but we do understand you have other skills. We're going to throw you out there, but you're going to be mainly this side of the ball the majority of the time.
Yeah, I feel like to a degree.
And which
you're
side would he
right.
pick if he had to?
I think he'd pick wide receiver because that's where the money's at. But
Yeah.
no, I mean like quite honestly.
Uh-huh.
But the only thing I disagree with what you just said is the fact of playing nickel because he only plays on the outside.
Yeah.
So then you would basically have to teach him a third position.
Well, it would
Essentially,
be
like I know,
his second position. You're just retraining him in the cornerback
yeah,
style.
but like the way that nickel is played compared to like boundary is quite different. Like it's not an easy
Mm-hmm.
adjustment. But so I would say they would probably be most likely to keep him on the outside, especially with his
Mm-hmm.
speed.
Yeah.
I think you'd be kind of wasting him just by sticking him in the nickel. But yeah, I think I want to lean with him being a wide receiver,
Mm-hmm.
but
I want him to
I
play
mean,
both ways. Now that you're saying it,
yeah,
I'm like, I want him to play both ways.
yeah. Well, because he's a lockdown corner as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to look at teams that could possibly like let him play both ways, you know?
The Patriots, maybe.
Will they though? Would Jerron Mayo be that kind of like, you're gonna need a coach that's like, I'm gonna say innovative. You
The
know,
Dolphins.
Mike McDaniels would let him play both ways all day, every
Yeah.
day. The only thing is the Dolphins aren't going to be that high to draft him.
No.
Like we're thinking like Carolina, New England, Denver, possibly New York, possibly Tennessee, possibly the Commanders, possibly Vegas. Like those are what the top 7 teams, maybe the Cardinals. Maybe the Vikings, the Saints, like those are probably the top 10 teams that are in your top highest odds for being a top 5 pick in this year's, well, next year's draft, because we're still in 2024 as of right now.
Yeah.
If you had to put a percentage on it, what percentage would you say that he will play both ways in the NFL?
I would say 30%.
Wow, you're way higher than I am.
Yeah.
I think it's 10%.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably closer. I feel like
You're
it
like,
would
I want
be
it to happen.
I feel like at least to start, it would be
Mhm.
smart
Yeah.
because then you could see like what he excels
Mhm.
at more at the next level, right? Because
Yeah.
if you just pin him down as a wide receiver and he's not that great, well, it depends on how long you want to try that experiment
Mhm.
and then because like let's say he's wide receiver for 2 years, hasn't played
Mhm.
corner.
Mhm.
Okay, well now, buddy, you're a cornerback, but you haven't played corner in 2 years, so good luck.
Yeah.
Like
I'll,
that's the thing
I,
I worry about.
I'll ask you this, and this is kind of like my final question with Hunter. When fast forward to the combine process and everything, when he has interviews with teams, is he gonna tell teams, if you don't plan to use me both ways, don't draft me?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because because people have already talked to him about that, like
Mm-hmm.
but like when he was at Jackson State
Yeah.
and he said he preferred playing wide receiver, I think it was.
Uh huh.
But he understands that he's good enough to play both and he's willing to play both because he just wants to be on the field.
Yeah. Good point. As always, we'd like to thank the people that make these videos possible, our patrons whose names are displayed on the screen now. If you would like to become a patron, go ahead and click the Patreon icon in the bottom right. And if you'd like to check out another video from MVP Sports, hit the video in the upper left. As always, thanks for watching.